Sir, where'd you get that hat?
State.
Boy, I'd like to buy me one of them.
You're quite an individual, kid.
Badlands, I think, for me, was a very, very unique experience. I've never worked with anyone before or since like that. Terry was a real Renaissance man. I think he spoke 4 languages. He was a Rhodes Scholar. It was so unusual what he was doing that most of the crew didn't have a clue. And I sometimes didn't have a clue. His vision was so singular that I didn't realize until I saw the movie of what he was trying to do. That's the definition of a really great director. Whenever we did a scene, he would always give us what he called a throwaway take. Let's do it your way now and see what, and some he used, some he didn't. But he gave us this sense of freedom and participation. And he actually filmed a lot of stuff himself. We were coming back from a location one night. He was driving and I was in the car, and we saw this moon rising on the prairie. Oh, he said, Martin, let's get a shot of that. Go on out there, see what you get. He went and got the camera in the trunk, and he came out, and I walked out in the field with the rifle on my shoulder and kept walking. And he's, that's good, Martin, stay right there. And boom, and he filmed that scene that's in the thing. That was difficult. He would include, room for you. That I loved about him. I still love him. I remember when I finally got to the hospital that day, I was really concerned. And they had to fly me in on a helicopter. I hated getting in those helicopters. We had so many close calls. But this day, it was emergency. And I either would go into Manila in a bus, which would take about 4 or 5 hours, or I could go in 15 minutes in a chopper. And under the circumstances, I took the chopper. And as they were wheeling me down the corridor, this little face appeared and stayed there during the journey. And I realized it was Janet, my wife. She smiled and she leaned down. She whispered in my ear, "It's only a movie, babe." And I started to heal. Right then, I realized I'd gone too far, and I had bit off more than I could chew, and I was choking on it, So, yeah, it was quite an experience. But I'm grateful.
Well, I guess if a man lives long enough, he gets to see everything. And I do mean everything. What else you got in your bag of tricks, Mr. GEKKO?
Charlie put the bug in his ear. Wouldn't it be a good idea if my old man actually played my old man in the movie? And Oliver thought that might work. He knew that what I did for a living, and so he didn't. I guess he figured he didn't have to go that far. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I've always been grateful to Oliver Stone for putting Charlie and I together like that, because it was a very, very, very special time to work with Charlie.
Do you think people took the wrong message away from that movie? I mean, certainly Gordon Gekko was celebrated after it came out.
Well, you have to remember, of course, he went to prison, and young Mr. Fox suffered as well. So I think that my character, the father, had a far more important message to share. And it's about living an honest life so that you don't have to move backwards and end up falling on your face,
Let the word ring forth from this time and this place, gentlemen. You kill an American, any American, we don't come back with a proportional response. We come back with total disaster.
I think Aaron had me in mind from the start for the West Wing. But at the start, the show was only to be about the staff, primarily. The president would only be a peripheral character. I had a suspicion that once they saw the pilot, it would be a different story, because whoever would present the show would want to know who was working in that office. And that's what happened. So I got called after the pilot was made and asked if I would become a regular. They were going to expand the part of the president. I said, of course. I made 2 requests. One, that he be Catholic, because I wanted the president to deal with everything fundamentally from a moral frame of reference. And 2, that he have a Notre Dame degree. You're going to have the lead character speak Latin to you for a full sequence. Pretty unusual. I've never seen anything like it before or since on network television. And it reminds me of how good it can be and how lucky I was to be a part of that. Well, I knew there wouldn't be any last-minute speeches before my untimely death. So, you know, it was taken out of my hands, so to speak. They got a stuntman. The guy was incredible. And they dropped him for, I don't know, 20 or 30 feet. And then they cut to me on the ground. You know, that was a pretty extraordinary experience working with Martin Scorsese. He's one of the most pleasant experiences I ever had. Again, very disarming guy and very funny. And I cannot remember working with an actor, with a director who loved actors as much as Marty. And for all of the wonderful, truly great directors I've been privileged to work with over the years, if I had one choice, and I hope all the others, including Terrence, Malick, will forgive me, if I had one choice to work with a director again, it would be Marty Scorsese. I adored him. I just heard somebody whisper out here in the corner, what about Emilio?
That's right.
Emilio,
You'll understand.
You should fly with me. Come on, a father-son trip. It'll be fun.
Yeah, right. You know, most people don't have the luxury of just picking up and leaving it all behind, Daniel.
We agreed that if I let you take me to the airport, you wouldn't lecture me about how I'm ruining my life.
I lied.
The thing I'm most proud of in my whole life, we did a film together. It was a family affair. My wife, Janet, produced it. Renee appeared in it. Ramon appeared in it. Emilio wrote it, directed. We did a film called The Way. And it's 10 years already. It's become a kind of underground classic that surfaces just enough to remind people what a great film it was, about a father-son, about loss and suffering and healing and regaining. And it covers this man's pilgrimage to honor his son. And yeah, it was one of the great experiences of my life. And we dedicated it to my father, who's from Spain. And yeah, I think it's the best thing I ever did.